Yeah, it kind of feels like the Obey we thought we were going to see at the start of spring, right? And it just took them a little while to get there. So I'm always glad when these guys are doing good. Just means the whole league is better as a result. But let's go into the picks and bans for game number 2. Mouse will be the first selection this time. And now their backs a bit against the wall. Obey with a chance to close this set out right here, right now.
I think the first pick side, though, could favor Mouse a little bit harder here because Obey had some great counter pick selections in that last competition for Mouse to try and handle. The Nike pick is the one that I'm looking towards the most. Not that Nike countered any one specific member from Obey so much as it was Nike having the capability to send out such an effective AoE slow and force the carries to try and target out Xaliea, but they just weren't able to put enough of a punch on him in time.
Well, good bans one more time with this Mercury being taken off, as well as the Chernobog and the Athena. Though it is Discordia that's banned, that was a little bit surprising from Obey. They're leaving a lot of good stuff still open.
I think that was smart by Obey because BigManTingz' best performances have been on this Discordia. It's not that BigManTingz is incapable of playing other gods by any means. It's just that Discordia and BigManTingz go hand in hand, and he might even just have the best Discordias right now.
Obey gonna grab the Odin and the Najah. This could potentially be scary for Mouse, but it is very early. It shouldn't be too hard for Mouse to draft around this Odin trying to get us punished. But I really like this Najah coming through, limit some of what Cherryo can do, because that does feel like a support steal more than anything, right? Not a jungle one. They're taking us away from the support a bit from Mouse.
Who knows? This could be support Raffer on the Najah. You have to remember, once upon a time ago, Raffer even did so far as to go with a Thanatos support. So his god pool does extend pretty deeply there, but nothing gets more classic than the Zeus-Odin combination. Not the first time that Obey have let loose with this one, and I would be concerned if I am Mouse because they don't seem to be all that deterred by the Odin cage. They're still drafting gods with not the most ideal escapes.
Yeah, that is bold into this Odin pickup, especially now the Zeus is added to that, and I imagine Prime will be able to cause quite a stir on this Zeus. This is one of those picks that they've made their resurgence playing around. This Zeus in the middle lane for Prime, so I imagine there's not going to be much to try and slow him down. That's got to be the focus for Mouse, right? How do you sit on top of this Zeus and not just let him do 40,000 damage this game?
I think Mouse have enough dive with the Susano. I just want to see Big Burst to follow that up because Susano can at least bring the Zeus out of position with the Wind Siphon, possibly even cancel out the damage from the Odin Bird Bombs also if Obey aren't careful. Anything that interrupts Odin right before he hits the ground is going to negate the damage that would have otherwise come forward. But the Kuzenbo pick is what I'm really taking note of here, Finch. Yeah. Kuzenbo is such a strong selection against both Zeus and Chiron. So much interrupt whenever he's inside of that watery grave that I think a lot of the members from Obey are certainly going to struggle with trying to get this Kuzen away from them. Yeah, it absolutely could buy you some time where maybe he can't use Detonate. It's also great for Reflect. Once he drops Lightning Storm, he can't undo that, so you can just kind of stand in and reflect damage. It could be good for him as the Xing Chen comes in to round out the draft for Obey. Nice competition. They've got a lot of AoE, a lot of control, but is that enough to win you over? Let us know who you think's going to win this one in Mixer Poll. I think my only concern right now for Obey is that outside of the Zeus Odin, their early game presence could be a little bit shaky here. And Najah as well. I'm not completely sold on this being for the jungle. It could be jungle Najah, but I think I would rather see the Odin in the jungle role simply because Odin will have a lot more rotational capability there, which could go better for the Zeus. Yeah, I really like if we can get Twig and Prime on those two. They could certainly bring down the house, and we'll get a chance to see Mouse up against Obey. Game number 2, a chance for Obey to close it out right here, right now. Let's get over to the casters for the action.
Thanks a lot there, John. Tom and Tully one more time on the call. We're excited to see this one. PrettyPriMe on the Zeus generally leads to good things for him and his team. So certainly an exciting spot for him to be in. Although playing Zeus across the way from a Kuzenbo, never a lot of fun.
It's very true. And this game, you can tell that both teams are just trying to stretch out their god pools. Zeus, Kuzenbo, Sobek, Susano, these gods were not played or banned last game as well as the Xing Chen, so these teams still experimenting a little bit to head into the placements.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of column A and column B. You can see PrettyPriMe going back to Zeus. I mean, this is the most Obey pick of all time, but like you said, Xing Chen, a little bit more non-traditional. Same thing with Raffer on the support Odin. Certainly not a pick that we see him playing all that often, so I like to see the turnaround. And then across the way, like you said, Nika on the Turtle Man, a little bit out of the ordinary for him, but FrostiaK Susano, I mean, this is kind of his
bread and butter,
where he made his money.
It's interesting that you say Xing Chen not too traditional. I would agree that it's not in vogue in Season 5, but I think if you look back at Season 2 of how frequently it was played, it was the go-to pick of all time. And currently in Season 5, unless your name is Divios, you're not really playing the Xing Chen very often. So the fact that Xaliea is bringing it out here today against the Kuzenbo is no real difficulty, I think, but it just surprises me. And it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air, I would say, coming from Xaliea.
It's a throwback for sure. And I think when you look at Divios and Xaliea, I think there's a lot in common there from those two players. Both in when they necessarily really hit their stride, when they were super successful, and as to now, you know, what they're up to. Very similar stuff. So the comparison between the pick and the two players that are celebrating it, I think there's something to be said there about, you know, the underlying conversation. But either way, Cherryo playing his most traditional support as of yet. Bringing out the Sobek. This is standard.
We haven't really seen him play Sobek jungle, right?
Exactly.
So
That's what
this
I'm
is
saying.
like the first god I think I've seen him play that he hasn't played in the jungle role quite yet, and I don't think I've ever seen Sobek jungle in SPL history.
I'm thinking. I'm racking the history books.
If you were to pick a jungler, a player, who would do it? Probably Cherryo.
Cherryo, CaptainTwig, or rest in peace, Proxy QQ. Those are probably the three junglers that I would say would bring out the Sobek jungle. Proxy used to come through with some of the weird stuff, the Shivalake jungle. Zeros started his career as a jungler and played Giannis jungle, the Vulcan jungle,
Isis jungle, Shivalake jungle.
Yeah.
And then he went mid and then he played Thanatos mid.
I'll never forget that. We were like, all right, he's mid. He's finally going to play some mid gods. And his first middle game, he played Thanatos.
Surprise.
And we went, you just spent 4 months in the jungle. Why didn't you play Thanatos? And he went, I'm a beast. iRaffer right now lined up here. Big ultimate coming out from BigManTingz. FrostiaK on the rotation. Not enough damage pulled in, but it's good enough for the jump away. I think it's a drop there by Dardez. I think he needs to put out more damage.
I agree, but it's only a level 4 Freya. Not too much DPS coming out of her quite yet as FrostiaK forced to go into the beats to negate the slow Dardez.
Oh, that was beautiful. Beads into the ultimate, into the first blood. CaptainTwig looking for the win and picking it up soon.
Ataraxia going to get plugged into a whole heap of trouble. Cherryo fighting off more than he could chew. CaptainTwig is like, oh, wait, I was just here. Let me come back in for the second one as iRaffer gets credited with that one.
And I love the fact that iRaffer gets that kill. You know, if an Odin accidentally gets ahead of his Chiron, I'm down totally. This is a character that can just provide pressure and power and just be really tough to deal with.
And Ataraxia, with no fear on his agenda, held on to the beads, knowing that he could survive the follow-up damage from the pluck, knowing that CaptainTwig would have wrapped back around after that first blood to save his life, and the turnaround kill onto Cherryo slows his stacking for the Guardian's Blessing ever so slightly, but iRaffer not really ahead too much either, despite shutting down Cherryo.
So Obey Alliance now taking game number 1, looking for game number 2 as well. Putting themselves in that position. And again, very similar strategy to what they did in game number 1. Give their mid laner a big, heavy output mage. And just look for CaptainTwig to play his own game, maybe set up a little bit here and there. Really just destroy people in his own right. Naja is certainly a pick that can do a little bit of both. Cherryo dashes out of the ring. That was out of control. Oh my goodness, totally.
I respect that.
I love that play.
Because if he hits it, iRaffer's dead to rights there. FrostiaK might be dead to rights, landing in a whole bunch of damage out of PrettyPriMe.
Cherryo now surrounded. He's going to tail whip 3 different players. BigManTingz shows up. Gets the ring mouse. Not exactly what he planned to do.
CaptainTwig not too healthy to continue any sort of follow-up, especially without that ultimate. Still building into Talaria boots. I don't think it matters what god he's playing. He just heavily likes this item.
Talaria boots is so. Here's my mentality behind Talaria boots and why I purchased it on every single jungler. So you get 20 physical power, a bunch of MP5, and an obscene amount of movement speed.
Yes.
18% is normal boots. You're getting 25% movement speed here, and an additional sort of mini pyromancer out of the base.
Yeah, which used to be the old Swift Wing starter item back in Season 4.
Normal booties give you 40 power. For 20 power, as Dardez escapes the dual lane, you're trading 20 power for 15 MP5, 5, 6, 7% movement speed, which is a huge amount, and the burst of speed out. I'll trade 20 power for that any day of the week. And as a jungler, I think it's much more important to be able to get to every single team fight than be able to solo every single player. And the loss of 20 power is worth my presence at every team fight.
Ooh, Dardez is actually getting engaged on under this tier 1 tower. Just going to whoop it away. Dardez taking a lot of poke. Can't really safely farm. Last time it was Dardez bullying out Ataraxia in that matchup, but this time he is not having a good time. Still is working on his 100 blessing stacks, and with the physical power that you're getting from Transcendence, Ataraxia really able to just spam away at a lot of these abilities. And you were also mentioning about CaptainTwig, or any jungler in general. I think more so for him, when you're playing like a setup god such as Naja,
right,
with Zeus waiting underneath, you're definitely more inclined to pick up this item and to sacrifice the power.
Exactly. There it is. Just bang. PrettyPriMe gets another kill. FrostiaK goes down. And realistically, the amount of kills that you drop because you're 20 power short is minimal.
That's true. And the amount of opportunities you gain because of the 7% extra movement speed increases so vastly.
Exactly.
Just being able to outrun a Susano.
Exactly. And it's to me, it is a trade-off that I like to see almost every single time. It's the free safety nature of the jungler. Really allows him to move back and forth. This was an item that I thought we were just going to be seeing, 99% of the time when the new map was unveiled, being larger than the old one. And I think we saw a quick burst of it, but then a walk away from it. And CaptainTwig has always had me kind of following in his mindset. I've always liked CaptainTwig's ability, or excuse me, non-reluctance, I guess.
His willingness to explore.
There it is. His willingness to pick up Relic Dagger. His willingness to pick up Talaria boots. He sees these items that are not meta simply because people don't care about them, and he goes, I don't care if it's popular or not. I'm going to rock it. And I think that CaptainTwig does a really good job of being interested in the uninterested. And
it's not just Talaria boots out of him specifically. It's the Frostbound Hammer Mercuries that he's been doing recently, trying to get that going. iRaffer gonna get whooped, rooted, whole bunch of damage. Cherryo is covering the option, but he's trapped in the cage.
Meanwhile, ultimate from BigManTingz off the mark, goes on to CaptainTwig, and Cherryo in trouble. That's another drop kill from mousesports. They're putting themselves off of the board.
It was a good opportunity, though. Cherryo plucking in iRaffer, but that ultimate, so important about the zoning members away, and no one from mousesports picking up the Phantom to really handle this Odin quite yet.
10 minutes in, Obey Alliance, the only team on the board so far. They're up about 1,500 gold. 1,506, excuse me, Doug. Always got to show me up, our observer. Oh, man. mousesports on the other side, looking to stretch this one to a third game. How do you reckon they do it? Do we really just hope that FrostiaK picks it up from this 0-3 moment and looks to be the big guy? Because that's what this draft says to me. This draft says FrostiaK carry us to the late game and then Dardez finish at home.
Yeah, I think it's mostly on the back of Dardez to do the damage. The late game Freya damage that he's expected of. But that's difficult knowing that Xaliea has the Furious Roar to mitigate a huge chunk of that damage. Even getting Void Stone to put in more work onto this Freya. I don't think Dardez is going to have an easy task about doing his hyper late game carry role. But if iRaffer gets a little too frisky and Cherryo looks for that pluck the same way he did a minute ago, that late game damage from Dardez is going to follow suit because of how much separation there is between the jump of iRaffer and then the pluck from Cherryo. You got to make sure as an Odin player you don't get too far away from your teammates for assistance.
Yeah, there's a ton of displacement. You're absolutely right. iRaffer being plucked at post jump would be very scary.
And even FrostiaK can pull you with a wind siphon. There's multiple things. Sumo slam from Nika. You could be tier 1 mid tower from Obey side all the way back to your own out of mouse.
iRaffer starts on his tier 1 tower in mid, jumps, and he lands basically in between the archers and the melee minions. Then you get plucked backwards, or then you get tail whipped, and then you get plucked backwards, where you get pulled. Right now, you're on the enemy tier 1 tower. Then you get sumo pushed by Nika. You're behind the tier 1 tower. By this point, BigManTingz roots you, and Cherryo has his pluck back up again after the banish from Dardez.
Yep.
So then he plucks you again, tail whips on the end of it. FrostiaK re-pulls you.
It's a never
Nika pushes you at the end. You start at your tier 1 tower. You wind up on the Joust map.
Pretty much. The Joust map. You've transformed this from a 5-on-5 all the way down to a 3-on-3.
I want to watch that. Somebody go make a video of some poor soul being just crowd controlled from one end of the map to the other. Get in your customs. I want to see it now. Tweet it to me by the end of the day. I'll give you gems, I swear.
Ooh, jumping over, feeling very confident.
Lock the croc.
No phantom. Out of mousesports, Cherryo taking a whole bunch of damage.
Lock the croc, baby. That's how you kill a Sobek. The classic conundrum. Lock the croc. You put a Sobek in the cage, and he is dead to rights. Remember that game?
Not really.
Dead to rights? You were a canine cop, and you had a dog. And you could play...
Of course you remember every dog game.
You could play as the cop and the dog.
How did that work?
So it was a PlayStation 2 game, and it was like you would switch players. You know, you ever play those games with like Kane and Lynch or whatever?
Sure.
So you would go and you would like you'd be like, hey, freeze, bad guy, and he would freeze, and then you would go into the dog, and the dog would run around the side, and he would go roof.
I wish you guys could see F. impersonating a dog running to the assailant.
And then you like bark, press X to bark maybe.
Okay.
And then
can you sniff?
Yeah, press triangle to sniff.
Smelling for those drugs.
Just hunting down criminals, barking, and then biting, jumping.
Oh wow, they thought of it all.
I do like it. So iRaffer here, gonna look for the front face. CaptainTwig looking for the flank, and FrostiaK gets his steak. CaptainTwig in the ground. Nice job there for FrostiaK to keep his eye on the prize. That was a really important point. FrostiaK making sure they don't get flanked. Ring bounce, ultimate, that's at least 2 kills.
Ooh, iRaffer is going to force out the ultimate from Dardez. PrettyPriMe is doing, yet again, just a lot of damage. This Oni Hunter's Garb, not enough to really save his life. PrettyPriMe, Aegis is a little bit too late after that shot, and none of his teammates nearby. And that was a beautiful setup from mousesports, setting up a trap right on top of CaptainTwig, knowing he was going to be directing traffic from that middle lane. That beautiful ultimate out of BigManTingz. mousesports confirming the goal Fury at 14.5 minutes in. And now for that pick onto CaptainTwig. The rest of the 5-on-4 fight heavily favoring mousesports as they take out PrettyPriMe.
Right side, Nika and Xaliea still banging around. Nothing really of any consequence. Although this is a different lane. Usually we see, I don't know, Athena versus RDO and nobody dies. This is a lane where, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like people can die here.
Xaliea can't die here. With his passive giving him HP 5, I think Nika is definitely at risk if he's not careful. Looking at the cooldown reduction for both players, Nika's ultimate will be back up in time for Xalia's ultimate, so you still have CC immunity, but you don't have that much sustain compared to Xaliea, just simply because of the HP 5. I believe at max stacks it's 36 HP 5. Oof. And, you know, every 30 seconds that you're getting that, it's going to be a big deal to top yourself off.
That's rough, as a dog would say. You like that, totally like that one. He's smiling a lot, and he really likes me. CaptainTwig on the right side, showing Nika how much he loves him. Cherryo with little baby.
Oh, couldn't find it. Really unfortunate stuff there. Here comes the counter engage, though. Good ultimate from BigManTingz. Cherryo not going to commit. Not going to commit to Xaliea, surprisingly.
Where's the ring? iRaffer, where's the ring? iRaffer, where's the ring? They just decided not to kill Cherryo there. That was a decision not to kill Cherryo.
I think the only time that they're able to kill Cherryo if PrettyPriMe is present on the follow-up.
I'm looking at Twiggy. I'm not looking at his Nemean line, by the way.
There's a little bit of power for CaptainTwig and not that much protection from Cherryo. That could have been a kill, but that's a lot of time invested. Sure. And with Gold Fury down, I'm actually surprised that they don't at least attempt that kind of a kill.
That's what I'm saying. Just drop the ring. Odin, no CDR just yet. Perhaps that's why we don't see the ring drop.
But even with no CDR, you're going to have that ultimate way before the next Gold Fury at the end of the day. So still a little shocked that they don't at least try, considering that they basically bullied Nika away and there was no real follow-up. Maybe they were afraid of some counter rotations, not having the best vision underneath the Fire Giant, expecting someone to show up and present in that solo lane. So a little bit of a catch-22 potentially.
It's possible, but I mean,
it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't.
I was really trying to make a Streetlight Manifesto joke, but I don't think there's a way I could just like sneak that one in there. Probably not going to do it. You don't think so?
I mean, just try. After we'll see what the fans at home think.
Cherryo missing Xaliea, but BigManTingz will hit him with the root. Nice ultimate off the backside of the...
Beautiful. Beautiful watery grave from Nika. So much damage, even forcing out the shell. Still going forward. Cherryo going to lead the charge with a slow, but PrettyPrime's damage too much. CaptainTwig actually absorbing that ultimate, I believe, for Xaliea, as another defensive ultimate comes through. CaptainTwig not able to set up his teammates. iRaffer going to get rooped, allows FrostiaK to disengage. A beautiful root. Dardez takes out iRaffer.
Nika's here, but Dardez takes care of the support already. Players from Obe Alliance low. Ataraxia taking care of Cherryo. Nika likely to go down as he's kind of stuck here in the middle. PrettyPriMe can't find his detonate button, and so Nika will survive for now. Beautiful root by BMT.
BMT able to really set up his teammates. PrettyPriMe surviving, but having to Aegis against the Crusher. Meanwhile, Dardez on the backhand side takes out Xaliea, forced to use the beads against CaptainTwig. Needs one more shot. Good back pedal out of Ataraxia. Not done yet, though. Still feeling a little frisky.
Ring bounce coming out from CaptainTwig. He hesitated a little bit there. He really wanted to make sure he was able to hit it. He wasn't confident with the ring toss onto the player. Had to wait for the minions. A little bit rough there. Ultimately, team fight goes in the way of
no one. It's basically even at the end of the day. Damage a little bit favoring on mousesports, but between the gold and experience, 2 for 2. No team going to go for any objectives quite yet. BMT definitely keeping the team fight alive for his teammates off of those 2 beautiful roots. A lot of mechanical prowess from this young player.
I've always liked BigManTingz' ability to play Smite. His mechanics are really, really there. We saw him, got to play okay support, but I liked him much better in the middle lane.
Wow, that mobility from CaptainTwig. Dardez could not hit a single shot to save his life there.
Hey man, movement speed given to you by the ring bounce, and of course, new boot goofing. He's got those Talaria boots. He's just goofing.
That's right. I think his speed buff just now faded away, so he was able to really zoom on away from that as Gold Fury is still getting started from mousesports. Xaliea taking way more damage than he bargained for.
Yeah, up there, Nika just trying to zone. Watery Grave going to send 2 players in the other direction. The ring, more defensive than Cherryo's here.
What a zone out of Nika.
Yeah.
Basically the hyper carries. Ataraxia and PrettyPriMe can't do anything. Jetstream and Typhoon taking out Ataraxia.
mousesports biting back, looking for the cheese, but iRaffer, the one with the dairy, taking care of one.
Oh, no, Dardez dropping that one, but it doesn't matter because BMT able to get that under the tier 2 tower. mousesports are unrelenting, finding 4 kills, and the whole world is their oyster.
Yes, and right now it's seafood. Gold Fury going to be aggressed on.
I'm surprised they don't just go to Fire Giant, honestly.
I mean, it's 20 minutes in.
They could get it.
They absolutely could get it.
I think they could get it.
I think they could get it.
If this was energy, snap Fire Giant. They don't even go for Gold Fury, but maybe mousesports will still try to transition. But at this point, could be a little risky with some of the respawn timers.
Prime's ultimate is down. Nika did chase that out when he zoned. Now this is just I don't like the Pyromancer.
So by going Pyromancer, you're opening the door for Obey to sneak a Fire Giant if all of mousesports back.
Exactly.
If there's no vision from the Order side around this Fire Giant, Obey Alliance would be a team to sneak that one away.
I really would have liked to see the Fire Giant call as well, Totally. I think you could have gotten gold and fire, but I think if you pick up fire, you get gold after the fact.
I'm not sure if they could have gotten gold and
wow,
fire.
Yeah, look, they're just jumping.
Like, this is such clean bread and butters kind of strategy. You give up the positioning. Obey will capitalize on a Cherryo. It's going to get caged in. Takes out Obey. This is the difference between the top-tier elite teams that recognize opportunities versus a team that is just going through the motions.
That was, I mean, Obey Alliance right there just kind of showing why they're just higher seeded than Mouse. That was just a better play.
mousesports know these calls. It's not like they're inexperienced in it, but I think no one wants to be wrong in some of their calls, so they're not confident to make the calls. And I think someone from mousesports should have stepped up to either overrule the call of the Gold Fury and go straight to Fire Giant, or something needed to happen, because there's no world where Xaliea on the Xing Chen, probably I think without ultimate either, stops 4 members of mousesports, both Neith and Freya included, from doing the Fire Giant.
Yeah, I mean, that really was the call. And Obey Alliance right there, just better Smite game. That really is just better Smite game than what mousesports presented. And I think that's really what you look for in the long run.
That's right. Every MOBA, Smite or otherwise, is a game of pushing and pulling your opposition to your will. And if you're going to be able, or if you're going to force your own self to back after a Pyromancer, you're giving up such a window for the late game objective. And Obey feeling confident now with this Fire Giant objective, going to try to siege the tier 1 mid tower.
Splitting up right now, CaptainTwig sent into the jungle. FrostiaK and Freya going to look to play flank defense. Last time CaptainTwig was shut down by FrostiaK, really liked that. iRaffer gets aggressive, jumps early into the enemy tower, drops the ring down. Cherryo going to be totally fine. Ultimate from PrettyPriMe not expended just yet. Xaliea now in the flank, in the wings. CaptainTwig looking for the left flank, and guess who's here? Dardez and BMT still located.
Good vision from mousesports to see what angle CaptainTwig is trying to approach from, and it has not been easy for CaptainTwig to offensively engage. He needs to look for a straight-up blink play, looking for the ring bounces. He's a little bit off the mark. Xaliea going to set up a lot of damage as Nika gets detonated on.
Still no ultimate from PrettyPriMe. The patience on that, very important. Obey just...
I think he's waiting for Cherryo to pluck. That's what it is.
Yeah, once Cherryo is in that position, can't dash out, he's able to really take care of it. Tier 1 tower easily going down. Big disruption coming out from the enemy jungler. Dardez takes care of Prime before the detonate comes out, and the Tier 1 tower still stands.
Oh, Xaliea taking a whole bunch of damage. Nika just needs to turn around and throw a Nene at him. Good stun from CaptainTwig to save a Soul Laner's life, but he gives his own up in the process.
Just blown up, exploded, obliterated, destroyed. Whatever you want to say. Looked like he got stuck by a C4.
Yeah, FrostiaK making a great play, being able to Typhoon behind the Tier 1 mid-tower wall, blinks on in offensively as he pops that through, knocking up several members. And PrettyPriMe, he died very fast in that engagement. Got off his ultimate, but I don't think he had time to detonate. Didn't even use either of his relics there. I'm not sure if they were. I'm pretty sure they were up, actually. But look at this left side tower. Very low from all that.
Might even fall. It will fall to minions. Nice job there. Got to give a shout out to the minions. Look at them over there on the left side of the screen.
They're celebrating right now.
They really are?
They're cheersing. They're calling their moms.
Really?
Yeah, they're calling their parents right now, saying, you know, like, we did it, guys.
I don't know.
And now they're going to die.
They're getting beat up, actually.
Yeah.
That's the last member of the tower push right
Archer
there,
34, we'll miss you.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough there. Oh, well. We'll see him another time. MVP, possibly.
That's stretching it. I like minions making plays, but that's a little stretch.
Oh, no. I think I'd vote for MVP for that minion.
All right, I'll tell you what. If Obey Alliance can, like, go down the Phoenix, like, if there's, for whatever reason, a play where there's not a D side, but maybe, like, 3 people dead out of Obey.
Sure.
Or out of mouse, Obey pummels down the left side Phoenix because there's a wave there and no tower there, then we could say those minions from before are the direct result of finding the Phoenix. Which is not going to happen this game.
Yes, it will. Hindu Man showed me the script.
Oh, okay.
It's going to happen. You don't think Obey's going to get a Phoenix?
No, they're definitely going to get a Phoenix. I don't know, actually. This game has been really close. Like, the way BigManTingz has been playing.
I mean, they're about to get a free Gold Fury.
Particular game. Yeah, but, like, that's only going to tie up the game. It's not going to put them in a position where they could just start sieging.
But they look cool as hell.
mousesports setting up a trap. Xaliea avoiding the sumo slam.
Not much of a trap if it's just Nika.
I mean, it was also Dardez around the corner. I would like to see more whoops coming out of him to set up Nika with a nice sumo slam.
I agree with that. Banish one of the stronger CCs in the game. Do you remember when it was a super CC and you couldn't beads it?
Wow. That was really old school.
Yeah, there was a point in time where you could not use beads to get out of the whoop.
Like, that's like, I don't even, was that like hotfix almost immediately?
No, I mean, that was like that was like before season 1.
Yeah, I don't even remember
You would be able
that.
to beads beforehand and avoid the lift.
Uh-huh.
But once you were in the sky, that was it, you're screwed.
Hey.
It was like a super knockup. It was pretty obnoxious.
You might even call it a banish. That's right.
That's how I've told it. Coming through again. 10-10. Somebody's got to win. Obey Alliance and mousesports tied up here at 27.5, almost 28 minutes. Nice ring bounce there from CaptainTwig. Do you remember 10-10 wins?
Yes, I do actually. Every morning going to school.
That's some city commercials.
That's some
right
New York
there.
stuff right there. We're bringing it here into Georgia, bringing down the cage on the croc. Cherryo going to take a whole bunch of damage. Does have the Phantom to get out of it. Plucks in, but no CC immunity.
Still goes down. CaptainTwig and PrettyPriMe on the other side as Cherryo somehow survives. Xaliea makes sure he goes down to 1 for 2.
Oh my goodness.
mousesports on the good side. Xaliea pulled, plucked, and controlled. It's an outright deicide for mousesports. Where did that come from?
Cherryo no longer the vulnerable little croc of yesteryear. He's grown up. He's gotten himself the sovereignty. He's feeling really good right now, Tom.
He's an alligator now.
Yeah. I don't know which is tougher.
Well, I mean, a crocodile's a baby alligator, right?
No, they're totally different species.
I don't believe you.
I don't know how to prove it otherwise.
I mean, it's like Nika, right? Like a turtle is a baby tortoise.
That is not how that works.
Pony is a baby horse. I figured it all, you know.
No, crocodiles and alligators are two entirely different species.
No, a crocodile is a baby alligator.
Tom, you need to stop.
Stop what?
I'm going to call the admins on you.
Call
You're
him.
out of line.
Call him.
You're out of order.
No, I'm correct. Why do you think interior crocodile alligator?
Oh, my goodness.
What do you drive? John
I'm
Finch.
not going there.
I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
See, yeah, no, he's saying I'm right and you're wrong. He gave me the thumbs up and you the thumbs down.
First of all, I always get the thumbs up. Second of all, a crocodile is a baby alligator, without a doubt.
I don't know about this, Tom. I don't think the fans at home would agree with you there.
I bet you right now. I want a mixer poll.
Yeah, let's get a mixer poll
I want a
going.
mixer poll. I know it's not Jameson. It's Matt today. Matt, please put a mixer poll in chat or offer it if you're listening.
Don't do it. Just
offer it, do this for me.
Don't even entertain this idea.
Doug says no, but offer it. I need you to do this for me. In chat, is a turtle a baby tortoise or is a crocodile a baby alligator? The answer should be yes. Doug says
no, it's not.
Doug's not a biologist.
Doug's rule is law. He's a spectator.
He's not a biologist. He's a spectator. Cherryo right now leading the charge, taking too much damage. mousesports after their Fire Giant push, leading by 9,000 gold here in a half hour. It took 1.5 minutes for them to clear the board. Poll is up. 15-11. mousesports right now trying to figure out their approach here on the left side. So mousesports here, FrostiaK on the backside. I do like that positioning from him, although he's going to have to stay out of combat to look for that blink. He's got to stay in that wing to avoid the ring bounce.
Obey Alliance.
So we've got the results of the poll in, and it sounds like 75% of people agree that a crocodile is a baby alligator.
No, that is not what they just said.
That's what I heard. Oh, BigManTingz ready for the ultimate. There's Nika blinking to the back line. PrettyPriMe going to be the target of the ultimate for the mid lane Neith as well. Xaliea going to be knocked up by the jungler, and here's a jump back from iRaffer, who's on auction. It's the game! Dardez takes care of iRaffer, and the left side Phoenix still alive and healthy. Can you do the auctioneer? The auctioneer like I just did?
No, I can't actually.
That's kind of fun.
The late game damage from Dardez is really starting to show into effect. Actually getting trumped by the damage from Kuzenbo. Nika able to make it happen. And with that one pick for iRaffer, 35 seconds without him, 5-on-4 advantage as Nika gets pulled back in. Good ultimate from Xaliea, just not enough damage to end Nika's life quite yet. But Obey still hold on to their left side Phoenix for a little bit longer.
CaptainTwig takes one to the sky. It's going to be BigManTingz ages after the fact. There's PrettyPriMe, 1 for 1, 2 for 1, 2 for 2. It's a 3 for 2. It's a 2 for 2. As iRaffer will
For
be
now,
respawning from
Xaliea gets slammed into the wall as he's able to double jump away yet again. FrostiaK still hitting the Phoenix alongside Dardez. Finally, 32 minutes into the game, mousesports with their Fire Giant able to get the left side Phoenix. Looking like they're going to stretch this into a game 3 potentially with this 10,000 gold lead.
It's certainly possible. This 10,000 gold lead is exactly where you want to start. My concern lies in... I say this knowing that Neith is in the middle. Dardez on the Freya has low structure damage capability.
Okay.
And Neith is there with a ton of attack speed, but BigManTingz is not in position to fight. He's not looking for this tower damage. He's looking for the team fight. And because of that, Obey has really been able to successfully kind of keep him out.
And that's all about the kills at the end of the day. I think Dardez has enough kill potential in his build to be able to pop iRaffer in the face, honestly. That's what he did in the last team fight. After the jump from iRaffer, Valkyrie's discretion came through, and there was like not much life remaining for this Odin player. With only realistically a Heartward Amulet, Gauntlet of Thebes gives you, what, about 60 with the Aura. Spirit Sword gives you a little bit as well.
Yep.
He needs maybe even a Bulwark of Hope to survive this late game Freya damage, but instead, building what probably might be a Margardian Mail. I don't mind that item necessarily because you're still lowering the DPS from Dardez with the Margardian Mail passive.
Hey, Tolly, do me a favor. Break down CaptainTwig's build.
Okay. So after the Talari boots that he originally went for... I'm not sure if he sold something in between, but he does have the late game Hide Enemy in line to make sure that BigManTingz isn't hitting him. Soul Eater.
That was his third item.
That was his third item?
That was his third item.
So, Soul Eater immediately afterwards. Ability Lifesteal. Some players will go for the Gladiator Shield instead, but CaptainTwig would rather go for this item because, honestly, I would prefer Gladiator Shield.
How much power is on this one? Because that
I
might
think
be
it's 70.
That might be why he's going
evolution.
in that direction for the Soul Eater.
It takes a little bit more time to get online, yeah. So the stacks working it out there. 60 power. Okay, not 70.
That's actually a large amount of physical power.
And with his tankiness, the whole idea is to just sit there, get the lifesteal as well from this item, which is about 10%. And between the power you're getting from Transcendence, the power that you're getting from Soul Eater, his Windfire Wheel is going to do a little bit of damage, but you don't have the critical damage amplification from Deathbringer.
I mean, you're still doing a ton of damage in that ultimate.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough to really get a solo kill, right? Like, he had to look for follow-up. Like, with 30% scaling on 3 hits, you're looking for 90% scaling. I think between those two items, you're getting roughly about 135 power from those two items. And naturally, so you're sitting at about, what, 186? So your Windfire Wheels is dealing about 166 extra damage.
Plus, you've got a red pot, you've got power elsewhere, right?
So I'm not in love with this build. It's just very CaptainTwig-esque. But what's really awkward about this build is the second Talisman of Energies. Xaliea already invested into that item. So I don't see why CaptainTwig would do that. Unless you're expecting one of them to fall early in the engagement so you can still get that passive going after the fact.
mousesports here, trying to take on CaptainTwig in his build. BigManTingz lined up in secret. We can expect Nika to blink onto PrettyPriMe. BigManTingz going to look for the stun as well. There's the blink forward. Nika on Prime. The ultimate comes out. Everybody pushing up on the backside. CaptainTwig out of the conversation, and Prime literally pushed to the back. Right side, Dardez going to be in trouble as he's brought down to about 10%, but he's bringing Ataraxia down to 0. CaptainTwig bites back, taking care of the carry, and PrettyPriMe, the ultimate is unleashed. BigManTingz and FrostiaK going to strangle PrettyPriMe. 3 players down for the count. Obey. CaptainTwig forced into the fountain. mousesports, they got the right side Phoenix. They got the left side Phoenix thanks to the minions. They're looking for the Titan.
They want game number 3, Tom. Good ultimate from CaptainTwig, taking BigManTingz in the air. There's not that much follow-up damage, but it's so low, and mousesports drag this set on to a game 3.
All about the 7s. mousesports with 3 times 7, and their opponents with only 2. 21-14 being the final kill count. You like that, man?
Yeah, not too shabby, Tom, there.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great job from these 2 teams here today. Mouse stretching it to a game 3. Gotta love it. Really loved repeatedly the play call that they looked for when they were setting up their sieges.
Yeah.
Nika would isolate PrettyPriMe. They would, you would have BigManTingz charging the ultimate. Nika blinks to the back on Prime. The ultimate releases there, and then all 5 go, and then the rest of the 4 attack the team.
No Zeus ultimate to worry about. Those sieges become very easy. The Kuzenbo from Nika showing off his zoning potential. I love that one team fight in particular past the Gold Fury when he was zoning both Ataraxia and PrettyPriMe beyond the tier 2 tower. Even they had to split, and still it was mousesports diving the towers, finding multiple kills, really utilizing his zoning potential.
We talked about the sieges and how that's been a new feature, basically, of Season 5, and teams have had to, like, figure out how to do that. And watching mousesports come out with a set plan of action and execute, I think that's the best that you can look for and really what you want to cheer for if you're a Mouse fan. Things like that are exciting when you talk about new rosters.
Yeah, it's true. Being able to switch this up, Dardez on the Freya has looked very natural in that role, hitting his moves, being able to follow up any sort of CC from FrostiaK in that position, looking like Cherryo is comfortable on his non-traditional picks, whether it's the Naja or the RDO. He's playing the Sobek very well in game number 2. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring out for game number 3, though.
We had a lot of fun here. Game number 2 already in the books. Let's talk to John Finch, Turtle Enthusiast.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, totally. Finch here along with Taco. A big win for Mouse. He managed to force this all the way to a game 3. Obey and Mouse now trying to see who can come out on top after a very strong performance, I would say, in that game 2 by Tings as well as Dardez. They both were executing very well.
The real turnaround for me in that game actually took place a lot earlier on in the set than what I thought it would, because at first Obey were just non-stop finding multiple picks onto the members of Mouse, but then in between the T1 and T2 tower, there's a little bit of a skirmish between both Obey and Mouse, but Mouse ended up getting 4 kills. And from that point forward, it just felt like all of the momentum had heavily shifted into Mouse's favor. Yeah, there were a couple fights. I'm right there with you on that one. That fight was very big. There's another fight, I think, at the 29-minute mark where they got a deicide, where Mouse was fighting back with them as well. I'm right there with you. Mouse's team fight was very strong in this. They did a good job playing around the Neith and her ultimate to facilitate target selection. Dardez was just a monster, 31,000 damage. There was no touching him on this Freya this game. He had a certain amount of it. And Nika was a true nuisance. Oftentimes you'd see Mouse fighting and you'd be like, well, where's Nika? It's just Nika's way in the back, keeping Prime literally out of frame or something like that. Like, Nika was playing very, very well too. Whether it was Prime, Ataraxia, Twig, it didn't matter. Nika was just able to prevent all of them from getting anywhere near Dardez. So Dardez was just free to have total reign over this game. Well, Nika's the one that ended up getting that MVP at the end of that last game on his Kuzenbo performance.
You heard me talk a little bit about some of what he was able to do for him. The Reflect was very big for them to really get a lot of big damage in. The Watery Grave was very disruptive as well. Nika, a big influence for him in that game 2 win.
I'm a big fan of it as well, but something tells me that Obey are not going to want to allow that Kuzenbo for Nika a second time around. And even if they do, they might be a little bit more expecting of it and able to prioritize their picks a little bit better. That way they don't wind up with a draft that is just pretty much put to bed between the Kuzenbo. I really just think that Watery Grave was just too much interrupt.
It definitely stopped them from kind of channeling their abilities the way they wanted to.